Hey there, number detectives! Welcome to an explainer where we are going to crack the secret codes behind numbers. Seriously, by the end of this, you'll have a whole codebook to solve math mysteries in a snap. Let's jump right in. So, let's kick things off with a little mystery. Look at this number, 5,30,728. Kind of big, right? But what if I told you that by the end of our time here, you'll be able to solve puzzles just like this one in like a few seconds? Yup, it's possible. Okay, first things first. Every good detective needs a toolkit. So before we start cracking codes, let's get to know our basic numbers and some of the keywords we are going to be using. Let's start with the absolute basics, natural numbers. These are just your classic everyday counting numbers. You know when you count anything? Apples, friends, whatever. You always start with 1, 2, 3 and you just keep going. Now what happens if you take that whole group of natural numbers and add one extra special number to the team? I'm talking about 0. When you do that, you get whole numbers. It seems like a tiny change, but trust me, 0 is a huge player in the world of math. Alright, next up are two of the most important tools in your entire kit. Factors and multiples. Think of factors as the building blocks of a number. You know, all the smaller numbers that divide into it perfectly. Multiples, on the other hand, are the opposite. They're what you get when you start multiplying a number, like going through its times table. Numbers also kind of have two different personalities. You've got prime numbers, which are super exclusive. They only have exactly two factors, 1 and themselves. Then you have composite numbers, which are a bit more social and have more than two factors. Oh, and a couple of fun facts. The number 1 doesn't belong to either group, and the number 2 is the only even prime number in existence. And now for the part you've been waiting for, the secret codes. These are your detective shortcuts that will let you know if one number can be divided by another. Usually just by looking at it. No calculator needed, I promise. The rule for 2. Oh, this one's a piece of cake. Don't even worry about how big the number is. Just look at the very last digit. If it's an even number, 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8, then you've cracked it. The whole number is divisible by 2. Easy, right? The rule for 3 or 9. This next one is like a magic trick for checking if a number is divisible by 3 or 9. All you have to do is add all the digits in the number. If that final sum can be divided by 3, then the original huge number can be 2. And guess what? The exact same trick works for the number 9. The rule for 4 and 8. When it comes to 4 and 8, the secret is hiding at the very end of the number. To check for 4, you only need to look at the last 2 digits. For 8, you look at the last 3. If that smaller chunk of the number is divisible, then the whole thing is. This trick saves so much time. The rule for 5 and 10. These next two are the codes you can spot from a mile away. If a number ends in a 0 or a 5, bam, it's divisible by 5. And if it ends in a 0, it's a guaranteed slam dunk for 10. Super simple and super fast. The rule for 6. The rule for 6 is a cool little two-part mission. For a number to be divisible by 6, it has to pass two separate tests. First, it has to be divisible by 2, which means it has to be an even number. And second, it also has to be divisible by 3, which means the sum of its digits trick has to work. If it passes both, you are golden. The rule for 11. The rule for 11 is a really fun puzzle. Starting from the right, you add up every other digit to get one sum. Then you add up the digits you skipped to get a second sum. Finally, just subtract those two totals. If your answer is 0 or any number in the 11 times table, then the original number is divisible by 11. Awesome job! You've got the secret codes and your toolkit is ready to go. So let's start cracking some actual cases. We are going to use these skills to break numbers down and see how they're all connected. So prime factorization is like finding a number's secret recipe or its DNA. And the factor tree method is a really cool visual way to do it. You just keep splitting the number into any two factors until all the branches on your tree end in a prime number. Those primes are the basic ingredients that make up your number. Or if you like things a little more organized, you can use the division method. With this, you just take your number and keep dividing it by the smallest prime that will go into it, over and over again, until you get all the way down to 1. The list of all the prime numbers you used is your answer. It's a really neat way to get the job done. Alright, let's talk about the HCF or highest common factor. The name pretty much gives it away, right? It's the biggest number that is a factor of 2 or more numbers. It's like finding the strongest connection they have in common. And on the flip side, we have the LCM or lowest common multiple. This is the very first number that shows up in the times table of all the numbers you're looking at. It's the smallest multiple they all share. Now check this out. Here is a golden rule that connects HCF and LCM. For any two numbers you can possibly think of, if you multiply them together, you get the exact same answer as when you multiply their HCF and their LCM. It's an amazing way to check your work and make sure you got it right. Okay, to wrap things up, let's look at a couple of special types of numbers, and then it's time to put your new detective skills to the test with some final mysteries. Time to meet some special agents of the number world. First, you've got co-prime numbers. They're like total strangers. The only factor they have in common is the number 1. And then there are perfect numbers. These are super rare and really cool. If you add up all their factors except for the number itself, the answer is the number. How neat is that? And there you have it, your complete detective's checklist. So remember to practice finding factors, get those divisibility rules memorized, and use prime factors to track down the HCF and LCM. With these tools in your belt, you are well on your way to being a true number expert. Alright, detective, here is your first official case. Take a second and try to find every single number that divides perfectly into 36. Go ahead and pause if you need to. Okay, you ready? The factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18 and 36. How do you do? And now for your final challenge. This one uses all your skills. First, what's the HCF and LCM of 8 and 12? And for the final puzzle, is 37 a prime number? And why? Take a moment. Okay, the HCF is 4 and the LCM is 24. And yes, 37 is totally prime because its only factors are 1 and 37. Congratulations, number detective. You've cracked the case. Now what other numbers are you going to investigate with your new code book?